Good morning, good evening, and wherever the sun may find you. My name is Walt, and this is Coffee and Concepts on Keystroke Medium. Oh, wow, we already got a heart. Somebody liked us. I love when somebody likes me this early in the morning. We have Patty Finn from the Emerald Isle saying, yes! Patty was on one of our other podcasts the other day, and he was playing a mummy in a role-playing game. It was epic. It was dynamic, and we loved every minute of it. We have Facebook user, which I assume might be, let us see what Facebook says about this. And then we have, of course, Patty Finn saying that got my French roast Java and ready to go. Welcome aboard. Good morning. And with me today is my longtime brother from another mother, my deployment familia. We have Joe Gallagher of Ravenfish Coffee. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you this morning?
And right as I said that, my wife's in the other room. She's like, Joe!
Yeah, it's Chaz.
He says, yeah, it's Chaz. So we have you on today because obviously we need to talk a little bit about coffee. And, because it's kind of in the title, so we're contractually obligated. So tell us a little bit about Ravenfish Coffee and how you kind of got started doing your own coffee stuff.
So I was working on the outskirts of the coffee community, doing a little bit of consulting on roasting. I was helping people with sourcing different blends of coffee, and obviously I'm a huge coffee fan. And I would product test some of the new machines that came out and give some feedback on it. Mostly it was, I hate drip makers and please make something cooler than that. But coffee's coffee, and I started roasting my own, obviously because I had some experience, dealing with commercial roasters, and I wanted to get a little more involved in the process. So I got into that, and eventually it led to this. I decided to make my passion into something that would be monetarily beneficial to me. And Ravenfish Coffee Company was born. So we've done a bunch of single source items. Like at the Ethiopian Natural, like at the Guatemala. Right now, I'm pushing the Bali Blue, which is something, if you haven't had, is an absolute experience for a medium roast coffee.
What do you like about it? I've had Bali coffee this morning. Before, and it's got a pretty unique flavor to it. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, it's got. I like some of the caramel notes that I'm getting out of it, and depending upon the soil that it's been pushed in. You're going to get that volcanic taste from the soil, or if it's in more of the tropical region, you're going to get a little bit more of a fruit flavor to it. And with the roast profile at medium, you're going to get more of the volcanic flavor as opposed to the fruit. With a lighter roast, you're going to get more of the fruit flavor, but it's going to add a little bit of bitterness to it if you do too light of a roast with it. So it's usually a medium to dark roast is what everybody kind of wants. So,
right on. Oh! And joining us live from the palatial, brand new Keystroke Medium Studios, Keystroke Boss Daddy Supreme.
Yo,
Dave McGuire. I'm sorry. Who are you again?
Just some dude that loves coffee.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we hooked these two fine gentlemen up the other day to talk up coffee and what places they're stomping around to get their stuff to get out to you. And I'm feeling very underdressed because both you guys have a pot right next to you, and I have to go in the other room.
That's right. Oh yeah, here look.
There's the overnighters right here.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I have to send the Belgian.
Nice.
I had to get a whole new table in my office for the coffee.
Oh, did you really?
It's a dedicated thing. Yeah, I did a video the other day. I've got this is my stream broadcast desk. My writing desk is over there, and my coffee is right in between. So no matter which desk I'm at, the coffee is always within reach.
Oh, that's brilliant.
This is convenient.
That is very brilliant. So Joe was just talking up the Bali blend that he's got and some of the flavor profiles. What are you drinking this morning?
I am drinking Writer's Block, which is
yes.
Oh, it's my favorite, dude. Writer's Block is my absolute favorite. It's smooth and it's still got a little kick to it. And I'm out of focus. There we go. It's great, man.
Lucas Connor saying, when I grow up, I want to drink coffee.
True.
Yeah, don't hurry. Don't
True.
hurry. Stay young as long as you can, because
It's a scam.
Yep.
Yeah.
The knees go first. So we were talking about how he's setting up his own coffee, kind of like mini empire, and obviously Keystroke Medium, we've set up our own mini empire.
Empire.
Doug,
Hello, doggy.
Yep, there he goes. What's if people want to get into like roasting and stuff like that and start kind of investigating the kind of like the deeper, darker side of the roast? What's some of the things that they should start with?
I think that's for you, Joe.
Oh, great. Well, more coffee. So what I started off with is I get like obviously read up on roasting, because there's different size beans, there's different type of beans, and there's different profiles that you want. But basically, you have a large bean, medium bean, small bean, and you have then you have different types of bean, like an Arabica, a Supremo, and then it's where it's grown. But if you want to get started just roasting, I mean, you can hop on Amazon real quick. You can pick up a green bean, pick up a Jiffy Pop, one of the old Jiffy Pop rotary pans for making popcorn, and drill a hole in the top, put a thermometer in it so that you can check the temperature, put it on low medium heat, hit around I think it's 350 off the top of my head, and just start rotating that Jiffy Pop maker, and then now you're making coffee. I mean, the other thing that I started off doing was a cast iron pan, and make cowboy coffee, which you just throw them in the pan. Now I use an infrared laser when I do skillet coffee, so that way I don't have to actually touch the thermometer to the pan. I can keep rotating it while still monitoring the temperature, and you just shake it up in there, and then boom, you're making coffee. I mean, it's really one of the easiest things to roast. You can do the same thing with any tree nut, peanut,
Do you just
that kind of thing.
You just drop the beans straight into the pan. You don't mix it with anything. Just straight.
If there's some places in now Walsh should know, because Italy, this was like kind of a big thing, is that they make skillet coffee. That's like it's like yogurt and some Arabic. They make skillet coffee. Throw it in there and just you got to constantly keep rotating it. Monitor the temperature, and then whatever roast you want, you hit your first crack, and that's when you've hit your light to medium roast, and then it's seconds after that, and then immediately after that you have to cool it because it'll keep cooking. And then anything after that first second after the crack is when you start really developing your roast process. You get into drum roasting and drum speeds, but as far as the skillet coffee is concerned, once you hear that first crack, it's just like popcorn. You're making, you hear that popcorn sound of the crack, and then it's seconds after that is going to make your roast. And then if you know how fast that you can cool it is where you need to stop during the roast. If I want to make a light roast on my skillet, I know that it's right before I hear the first crack, or when I think I'm going to hear the first crack, I have to pull it off the pan. It's got to go under the fan. I use like a colander over a box fan. You just start shaking it, rotating it, and getting it over the fan. And that's the cheap way to get into coffee roasting. That's how I started.
So when are you going to start getting into Kopi Luwak?
I've already done that. Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, now it's out of favor, but I mean, Cafe Bon Ami down near you in Cranston.
Yep.
He does Kopi Luwak, and that's when I had it for the first time. It was on my bucket list, and I went down there, and he does it. He does it in the Belgian siphon. Yeah, I can't do it now because I mean they've really exploited the civets that do it. I mean, it used to be they just picked it up off the ground, but now it's they're caging them, and I just don't think that's.
Oh yeah, it's a huge cash crop now.
Yeah, but
Josh,
I mean,
have you ever had it?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about now. You guys started talking about all this other stuff, and I'm like, I just drink coffee.
So Kopi Luwak is from Southeast Java, those kind of areas, and they have a particular type of like tree raccoon out there that eats the beans. And then what they do is they poop them out, and then they grab the.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
it's like the most expensive coffee in the world, or something like that.
Yeah. Last time I looked, it was like $108 a pound.
Oh my god!
So, but yeah, this is stupid expensive. But
I mean, I'm willing to try anything once.
No, not the dysentery would agree with you. But speaking of agreeing with you, if not only did we have Joe's coffee company, which is Ravenfish Coffee Company, we had them up on the screen. How can we forget that? The thing that puts the fuel in our tank.
Get the writer's block.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, writer's block is where it's at.
If you go to keystroke.medium.com and then hit the big red coffee button, you can see a variety of blends and look at those gorgeous labels. Oh my God.
Steve Bowyer worked those labels up.
Beautiful.
I did the bag pictures because we needed something with the bags. And so my genius in Photoshop, this is what you get.
Right on. Right. And the bags pretty much look like very similar.
I mean, they're pretty close. They're pretty close to the bags you get.
And I got to tell you, the best thing ever is getting that in the mail. Because, you open the mailbox and you're like, did I get coffee?
Yeah.
Right. And then usually it's a wrestling match because, the dog will try and carry the coffee in. So then
it's amazing how much that smell comes through both bags.
It's amazing.
The coffee bag and the ship bag, and you open it up and you're like, oh.
You're ready to tap a vein for that stuff. It's just, oh my God, it's brilliant.
You ever seen that Dave Chappelle show where he's putting crack on a peanut butter sandwich? That's me with the coffee. Got any more of them peanut butter and coffee sandwiches?
And one of my neighbors helped us out when the whole COVID thing first started, and my wife was going through chemo treatments. We couldn't go anywhere, and she dropped off a whole bundle of cleaning supplies and stuff like that for us, stuff we couldn't get because we couldn't risk going out. So I got her one of the writer's block, a roast of doom, and a keystroke medium blend. And she saw me walking the dog the other day, and she was like, "Dude, did you put 3 bags of coffee in my mailbox?" She's like, "I was never so excited to open up the electric bill."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, really, really good people. So I was like, "Oh, let me get them some good coffee."
That's awesome.
But so we pretty much stomped all over our beans for the for our coffee segment. So for those in the know, Mr. Gallagher is actually a professional comic book inker and has been doing it now for a number of years, ever since I conned him into it as a way to
it's all your fault.
Deal with certain medical issues. So one of the things that we thought that we'd talk about this morning is how a storyboard, much like how the panels of a comic book tell the story, even before the word balloons themselves are added, how you can use a storyboard to kind of enhance your novel script. And this is kind of a neat idea, and we've seen this in a couple of different places. So basically a storyboard, if you've ever seen a comic book, the panels of a comic book are pretty much a storyboard in and of itself. And if you look if you look at the production behind the scenes of something like 30 Days of Night, which was a pretty popular movie about, 7-8 years ago.
It was a great movie.
It was very.
I didn't even know I was into that movie until I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, vampires. But then I saw it and I was like, oh, that's
yes.
legit.
And the comic book that is based off of is incredible in the way it produces mood and lighting. And when you watch the behind the scenes of that movie, they went panel for panel.
Really?
With the comic, using it exactly as a storyboard to facilitate your story. So one of the ways that you can use this is, especially if you're not drinking writer's block, because everybody should be drinking writer's block. If you're having a bit of writer's block, one thing you can do is bust out these storyboard panels. And one of the great things that you can do is, as a resource, you can usually get storyboard panels pretty much anywhere. You can get them online for free. They pop up everywhere. All you got to put is storyboard, right? So you grab one of these storyboards, and what you do is, first scene, and it doesn't have to be anything. It could just be stick figure, and then you draw walking through a door, and then a couple of words of what it is. Next scene, could be your next chapter. It could be a scene break in the same chapter, right? You go out, you get these little sketches done.
Wow, so I can see how that would be immensely helpful, in your mind, visualizing what you have to write.
Right. And if you look at things like 30 Days of Night, if you look at like John Wick, the storyboards, I've been trying to get John Wick original storyboards for years now because they're great. I would love to have one up in my office. But like the stuntmen barely needed any direction because they looked at the storyboard and they went, yep, okay, we got it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a great way to combat writer's block. Once again, not the coffee, the affliction. Right? And what you want to do is when you kind of got stuck, kind of start playing with that in your head. Get those little stick figure drawings out. And it doesn't have to be like this. You know, you don't have to be a Marvel Comics artist, you know, or an artist of the caliber of Mr. Joe Gallagher that we have here today. But you know, just grab, you know, any kind of pencil or pen or something like that, and just start sketching what you need to start producing those scenes. And you'll see once you get a better visual in your head of what you're trying to accomplish, these storyboards can really help you break through walls and barriers that are keeping you from your writing. Joe, what did you now when you've been working on Woe and the Omicron cipher? Do you guys go right to storyboard, or do you work the script first?
So I'm usually working the script, but what I'm also doing is a storyboarding as well, because you know, obviously when you're writing a script, you're going scene by scene by scene, and if I'm having trouble visualizing the scene that I want in my head, or how I think the artist may draw it, I may storyboard it out and forward that along as well to give a better visual idea of what I'm looking for. And sometimes when I'm writing as well, if I'm having trouble describing a scene that is going on, or you know, background details, you know, I'm having trouble describing because I don't want to just tell you that there's a tree behind you. I want you to feel that there's a tree behind you when you're working. So how do I do that? So if I can't seem to get a good picture of it in my head, then I draw it out, and then sometimes I'll actually be able to add different details that I wasn't thinking about before. So it's giving you a visual perspective on your physical writing that you're not normally going to have if you're just tapping the keys with your fat fingers.
Right.
And that's really where the storyboarding, you know, comes in. And then a lot of times with writing, I've noticed different writers will write like a talking head. He said this, she said this, they said this. This happened. So when you're storyboarding, you know, you don't want talking heads in comics. You don't want like, you know, two heads talking across 6 pages of panels, which I find in some of the comics where they're, you know, it's more soap opera-esque as opposed to action centered. So if you're storyboarding it out, you're forced to include action to portray the scene without using words. And therefore you're more apt to, in your descriptors, push that action forward, or push the outside influences forward. They're going to move your story forward.
Yeah, we had Jay Clifton Slater in the chat saying, I pencil out fight scenes, but not storyboard. That might work better than drawing over the characters as I work through the action. And a lot of times too, you know, you could be at the keyboard and just, you know, slamming those keys. And yeah, I've seen guys where you can tell when they lost the visual in their head of what they were doing. Because like if you watch something like John Wick, right, you have 3 basic martial arts in play when he's doing his stuff. You have close combat gunfighting, you have Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and you have sambo, right? So one is very close quarters where it's a lot of gripping and grabbing. Then the other one is more throwing and rolling. And then the last, of course, is, you know, very kinetic because you're squeezing that trigger, and it's not just like arm is out at length, the thing's turned the wrong way, you're just squeezing the trigger like you're trying to make like Italian gnocchi or anything like that. I mean, if you watch the way that they did it, they brought in several technical experts that really, you know, rock the box, and that goes.
It's like every shot that he made was a purposeful shot. Like,
yes,
he wasn't out spraying and praying. Like, what's interesting about John Wick is a lot of technical aspects about gunfighting are missed in movies where they're just like shooting a whole bunch, and like somebody's got a 60 round magazine or 100 round magazine in an M4 or whatever, and you're just like, oh. But I think what they did in John Wick, and I'm not sure that I saw it in any other movie before John Wick, or I just noticed it in John Wick, is the reloads actually became a part of the fight process.
Yes.
And the intentional one shot, he realizes that he's empty. Sometimes he does combat reloads, but a lot of the tactical reloads where he's flicking and grabbing at the same time, where you're pulling, he's indexing, he's slapping it in and then going back to work. But sometimes he slaps it in and keeps it indexed when he's shooting like this and then punches out. Like, the whole thing I thought was amazing, in that, like, it's technical because that's what you would be doing in a fight, but it's so like dramatic while he's doing it. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, they worked heavily from storyboards. Come on. Doesn't want to do it.
Do it.
Oh no.
It needs more coffee.
True.
I think so. I got some like weirdness going on. You guys can still hear me though, right?
Yep.
Yep. Oh yeah, I can see it too.
You're having some signal hiccup where you're buffering a little bit, but I can still hear you just fine.
Yeah, it's weird because like my whole browser just froze. That's freaky. But yeah, I mean the John Wick animatics and the storyboards are just sublime. I mean, really set the mood and stuff like that. Is that something you think you would get into, Josh?
So it's interesting. I didn't think in the terms of storyboarding until you just presented it that way, and I saw it visually. But what's really ironic about this whole thing is this morning I started outlining a new book, but I'm doing it in screenwriting mode and using a script format to do the beats of the story. And I just started it this morning. I'm like 3 beats in, and writing it in first person and then telling myself what's going on, like setting the scene and all that stuff. But if I had a storyboard to go with it, like, I wouldn't have to set the scene. I wouldn't have to waste the time like writing down the scene description. I could just see it and then match up the storyboard with the beat and then right away. Oh, I think we lost Walt. Walt!
I mean, at least he's got a good pose going on.
Right?
Oh, now we got
now I have 2
2
Walts.
Walts.
Is that freaky?
Whoa, Will
What?
can't handle this.
This is like a space-time
How long have I been
continuum.
awake?
Patty Finn saying you can't overcome writer's block coffee. Writer's block coffee overcomes you.
That's true.
Nice. That is true. Very true.
Let's see if I get. There we go.
There we go. 1 Walt. Oof.
Right? It was like all of a sudden I broke through the space-time barrier.
It's a menage a Walt.
Parallel dimensions.
So so I mean that's just a little bit of a little. There we go. That's what I was trying to do when I got discombobulated. That's
it actually looks like him too. That's cool.
Right. You got Willem Dafoe down at the bottom. You got John holding the umbrella and stuff like that. So I mean, it's stuff like this where you don't. I mean, obviously they had a professional penciler come in and do the boards for this, but even still, I mean, if you just took you can go to. Do I have my pencil over here somewhere? Oh, it's on the other desk. You can go to like Staples or something like that and get a 2mm blue pencil, right? And the good thing about the blue pencil is that it really shows up against the paper in a way where you get more of a sense of action than with a black pencil. And later on, if it's something that you wanted to ink, you could always hire Joe, he could ink right over those blue pencils, and that blue pencil just disappears into the background. It's really, really cool the way it works. But you can use something like this to kind of plan out your scenes so that you can get a good kind of bite on what you're trying to do in a particular chapter. And I think that was a really cool. I think it's a really cool, useful tool, especially if the writers would double your pleasure, double your fun, listen to 2 Waltz instead of just 1. Very nice. Very nice. That's fantastic. But yeah, so use that if you can. And speaking of using that, if you can, make sure to check out Ravenfish Coffee Company and what he's got going on. So before we leave, I just wanted to cover what we were talking about the other day. You got several blends you're going to be putting together just for charity, correct?
Yeah, so I'm going to this will be the first announcement for it is the breakfast blend's actually going to become Bear's Blend. Obviously we lost our pup recently, so I got picked him up as a rescue, and I follow some vintage rescue places that pick up senior dogs or dogs that have serious medical issues, where instead of being put down, they're basically taking the dog on, giving it a good end of life, and they're also helping them with surgeries. And some dogs have cancer and they need constant medication or leukemia, and that is a lot of money. I mean, it's $30K for cancer for dogs, and there's no real medical insurance for it. So the host has take the majority of the proceeds from that. Obviously, what I need to keep my operating costs going, and we're going to donate that probably to the Rhode Island's Vintage Pet Rescue to begin with, and then I'm going to be reaching out to people that buy the coffee, and we're going to do a monthly drawing to find a rescue that we're going to donate to. So everybody will vote on the rescue. Kind of like some of the food co-ops do near me. They'll say, you give a little token, put the token in. What do you want to do? The other one we're going to have is, I haven't picked the blend for it yet, but it's going to be called Tree. So anytime that anybody buys a bag, we're going to plant a tree, and we're going to pick up some more charities from that. And I wanted to be able to help different charities that that I enjoy, and things that I enjoy, and I also want to make coffee. So it seemed like a really good marriage between the two.
Right on.
Well,
hey, thanks for coming out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let us know when you do that, and we'll push the charity and push the coffee and get some of our viewers to buy a few bags. Not all the bags, because you still have to buy some of my coffee, but some of the bags.
I'm willing to share. It's fine. I mean, I just picked up some of the writer's block. I can't wait to dig into it. So I'm excited.
Awesome.
Oh my God. And speaking of digging into it, Monday morning, some guy named Josh gets together with a couple of his buddies, and they do Keystroke Medium live. The last show they just had was a superpower beatdown between CC Akeke and Jeff Haskell. And it was a great show. I like that $120, 100, 1 hour and 20 minutes just flew by.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
So please go to YouTube, check that out. Obviously Coffee and Concepts, Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, where we, get together with some coffee, some concepts, and occasional surprise guests. Lauren and Kayleen doing the writer's journey on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern?
I think they played at 7 on Saturday. I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. So where they dig into copious amounts of concepts, allowing new writers a leg up into the industry, while old writers and veteran writers get new tips and tricks for which to ply their trade. Don't forget to go over to YouTube and check out Josh Guyu's long-form storytelling, where he dives deep into the subjects and rips apart a subject over the course of 4 hours. While you're at YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Keep reading, keep writing. Don't forget your writer's block coffee, and we'll catch you next time on Keystroke Medium.